Hello. Yeah, same thing, a quarter each. Hey, do you weld the back of the other one? Hey. Hi. I don't know what I thought you were showing me two more bevel plates. Or get warmed up on that one first. Hey, Jason, how are you doing?
Morning or afternoon.
How you doing today, Calvin?
Another day.
Yep.
How about you?
About the same. Let some students come in. We're going to practice up for certification testing, so I can have two at a time. So I've been able to stay excited for the last couple of days, at least letting them come in and weld.
That's good. I saw your post about the oxy fuel.
Oh yeah,
Was that autonomously?
yeah. It's just a little edge joint.
It looked like it. I was like, that doesn't look like any filler's been added.
No, yeah, that's one of the parlor trick anybody can weld kind of joints right there. That's the same thing with the TIG rig. I'll show them how to run it across that, and they'll have a nice piece they can take home to those that are knowledgeable and make them think they can really weld. Let
them try an aluminum.
If you clean it and chamfer that first edge where it's not exactly corner to corner and lay them together, it does pretty good. What I do with it, because I do let them do it on aluminum, but I run the foot pedal.
You run what?
I run the foot pedal.
Oh.
So their actual first TIG welds they do in my beginning class, or their first welds they ever do, is actually TIG aluminum, because it is easier other than the oxide issue. But if you get the AC balance set right and everything going good, it's just like using a pencil. So I'll set them up a couple. I got to tack them. Tack them together is almost the hardest part without filler metal. Get them to fuse and jump across.
Gotcha.
But yeah, they'll go home the first day and they can tell their parents they can TIG weld aluminum, which is true. They did.
That's probably my most favorite process, because like we were talking last week, I'd never welded until I got here at Hobart, and been here 6 years, and they put me through the whole program, and TIG's probably my favorite.
Yeah, I like them all kind of. It's kind of like I don't know. I guess stick welding keeps me the most entertained.
That took me a little while to pick that up, but once a lot of the instructors gave me their tricks of the trades, I definitely picked it up from there.
Yeah. But I like them all. Like I said, if I can see the fire, I drop my hood and I see the fire. I don't care if I'm welding on a barbecue grill or a nuclear power plant. I don't care about the fabrication. Again, if I've got to build something, I can do it. But I see the fire, I'm happy. We got 4. Hopefully we'll have a few show up. I kind of push it out there the same way as before, but I'm wondering, since the coronavirus is going down some, everybody's kind of a little more mellow.
I sent it out to a lot myself too, so.
Which I've got people right now in the last 10 minutes, 3 or 4 people have hit the link on Eventbrite. The folks that filled out the form, we got 2 or 3 from Washington, 1 from California, 1 from Texas, and 1 from Tennessee, and 1 person from India. Based on the people that filled out the form, what zip code they were from.
Awesome.
So you guys are you guys doing social distancing in your classes, or cut down on them, or?
Yeah, we're keeping it spread, every student, so we're keeping them every other booth right now. And we've taken classes and kind of split them in half. So they took like next week, we actually have a start date, would be our first start of classes. Like, kids came back from classes that were already in classes.
Yeah.
And this would be our first start coming back from the virus, of actually kids starting, because we start every month.
Yeah.
But they're actually going to split that class in half, and half is going to start in Blueprint and half is going to start in Oxy, and then they'll flip. Because those are their first 2 classes that they take, is Blueprint and Oxy. So, and then a lot of the other classes they've split up too, that because we can only have, I think, like a I think in the state of Ohio, they only allow 8 or 10 in a room.
Yeah.
So I think they've got it at like 10 per class. Where before all of it, our ratios were about 18 to 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of looking forward to, if they do start to fall, I'm hoping that they actually do cut my numbers back, just because I'd rather have, I can have up to 25 on paper.
I agree with you.
And I'd rather have 12.
A lot, you can control everybody, and you don't have to worry about the people goofing off in their booth and not welding, and you can make sure to get around to everybody and give them demos or something.
Yeah. When I got 20 and just have them for an hour or even 2 hours, it's hard to pay good attention to where each one of those people is at in that period of time.
Yeah. I'm going to be down by you next week.
Oh, yeah? Where are you going?
I'm going to Seaverville.
Oh, okay.
Going to Gatlinburg. Well, staying in a cabin in Seaverville, and then, go down to Pigeon Forge a little bit and go down to Gatlinburg.
Yeah, it's my wife's birthday Friday, so we're going to run up there and I think just spend one night there somewhere nearby. Go look at some rocks or something.
Yeah, we'll be down there. I'll be down there next Thursday and then staying until Monday.
Yeah.
But it's about a 5-hour drive for us.
Yeah.
It's not bad. Just straight down 75, then over on 40 once you get down to Knoxville.
Yeah, we've gone up here once or twice. We've lived up here for 6 years. I go up there and, I like it better in the wintertime. It's not quite as crowded. And I went there for some type of conference a few years back, and it was in July, August, and it was a bit much. There's a lot of folks there. How you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good, Mr. Gerald. How are you?
Man, living the dream.
Yep, I hear you, man. Every day.
If Mama could see me now up here at the big house with all the important people.
Yep.
So how y'all doing, Jason? Y'all splitting your classes up, or?
Well, I happened to graduate several right before we went on to quarantine, and it worked out really well. I just have 4 full-time students right now. We've stopped enrolling for a little bit to see what things are going to do. So I've got the ideal class. We can come 5 days a week, and we just alternate booths, scatter everybody out a little bit. But we've had no problem with it.
Now, you're not in your own TCAP, so you're in a high school, aren't you? And then just teaching?
No, I'm in a TCAT. Yeah, I'm in an adult TCAT. We also have high school satellite programs, but yeah, I'm in the full-time main campus.
Where are you out of, Jason?
Just hang on a second.
Livingston, Tennessee.
I got a student.
I'm next to Del Holloway.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
If you're familiar with Cookeville, we're approximately 20 minutes from Cookeville.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I cover Tennessee when I come down there. I go to some high schools around there. Like I'm trying to think of one. Gordonsville. Is that you by Gordonsville? Right off.
No,
Foley?
that's a little bit of a stretch on Gordonsville. We are that's down towards.
So you're more towards
We're
Knoxville.
more on the plateau. We're in the Cookeville High School. We have a class there. We have one in White County High School. We have one in Livingston Academy. Actually comes here. They bus those guys over, and now we're starting a class that'll be up in August. That will be at the Clay County High School, which is Salina, Tennessee. So we've got a pretty good, about a 5-county footprint here.
Gotcha. So you do the high school, and then you also do the post-secondary too?
I do the post-secondary, and then I do have dual enrolled students here from Livingston Academy.
So does somebody else teach the high school students then?
No, I just limit the numbers that I can have. We kind of keep my full-timers down to about 10, and then I usually have about 5 high schoolers that come in blocks, and we can manage it that way. And like I say, the high school classes where we're in those high schools, we have adjunct instructors for those classes. We actually have a second full-time program in Cookville with 16 booths. It's a mirror of mine. I have 16 booths. He has 16 booths. So we actually have two programs going. We had such a waiting list. It was become necessity to do that, keep from having a lot of night classes.
Yeah. I've had a few, I'm from Hobart, by the way.
Uh-huh.
I've had a few TCAT guys come and take CWI up here.
Gotcha.
Josh, he's down south of Nashville. Josh Hughes.
Don't know Josh, I don't think. Of course, there's 28 TCATs. I've probably met him at some time at our curriculum meetings, but there are several of those guys I know pretty well, and then some of them I've just barely met, you know.
And then Gene Hilton, he's out of
I know Gene Hilton, yes, sir. Uh-huh.
Yeah. He's a good guy. He came up here, took a CWI.
Yeah, he kind of I think he assumed the roles of the Skills USA for the state of Tennessee.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So Calvin, you get hooked up, get me hooked up where I can have some of them good Hobart materials and teach my own classes with them for CWI.
I don't know. You could always come and see if they'll give you some copies. I'm not on the technical side of that, so.
Yeah.
But I think I've seen some guys selling some of the practice quizzes.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's mainly, like I said, it'd be good if they let somebody do satellite courses for them. Come up when we go through some training and do the training somewhere else where folks didn't have to go up there.
It's, yeah, like I said, I think I said last week, it's been talked about. I don't know where it's going about that. I mean, because that's on our technical, our guys over there in the tech side, and it was thrown about, hey, if you got, you got any guys in Tennessee, or you guys got any, guys in Indiana or wherever, hey, we might be setting up where we'll have them go out like AWS does to, a certain city and, put on a CWI course. But I haven't heard, that was about a year ago, and I haven't heard anything else about it yet. So. How's it going, Kurt?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Oh, just living the dream here in Ohio.
How's Austin Lloyd doing?
Good. He's doing good. And how many more did you say you had coming?
I got one coming July 20th.
Okay. I follow Austin all the time, and he's always seeming like he's here, there, and everywhere traveling. And I just saw him traveling. They were down in where were they? I don't know if it was Tennessee or somewhere. They were riding their AT or their
yes.
Polarises.
Yes, he won a race last weekend. These races 4-wheelers. He's like a step down from pros.
Will he ever go pro?
I think hopefully he gets out of it, but because he's had more broken bones than most people. But he's making money last year was the first year he made money, so he's liking it. So
awesome. How's he doing there with Rex?
Good. Yeah, Rex loves him.
Hey, Gina, how are you?
Awesome. How are you doing, Calvin?
Oh, wonderful day here in cold, rainy Ohio.
It's raining here too. No joy.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be 80 on Friday or Saturday, one of the two. I'm like,
funny. Gerald, Gerald, you teach at high school. I was going to try to get a hold of you, right? You're at a high school?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe after all this is done, we can talk, because it's easier to show you. For personal development hours, they're trying to say Google and that nothing else counts, but I'm pretty sure what we do counts.
We got recordings of it.
Yeah, exactly. So how well, you can tell me later, but it's like, how are you presenting it to the schools?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really thought about that much, but some folks had mentioned it before.
Right.
And, it's definitely I think because we got a recording, I mean, worst case, I can do an outline for whatever it was we talked about that day.
Right.
And the bad part is there's no sign in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other than, like I said, you have a copy of the recording, you go back and look at it and see, yeah, well, I was on there for an hour.
Well, what do they do for Google,
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
The other thing, like I said, is just a certifying statement saying, yeah, I participated, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I wrote something up and highlighted the www.weldinstructors thing that you could go and find all of them. So.
Yeah. But does the Google, does that have any recording processes like this?
I think they set it up in a format because it was a training purposes that they had people sign into it. I mean, I've done Google, but we also do Canvas, we do this, we do Welded, we do da-da-da. So I want my 6 hours.
I thought about doing the Zoom meetings requiring registration, but the bad thing about that is I don't have access to all those controls because the school lets me use this account.
Right.
So with this account, I go over the however many minutes, all that kind of stuff, and there's some added security features. Whereas the Zoom account for my free 40 minutes doesn't necessarily do all that. I don't think I can include registrations on there.
Yeah. All I know is, I mean, I don't believe that the admins have much of a clue what to do during all this either. So.
Yeah. I would say to me with video and records of chats and stuff like that, there's, significant amount. If nothing else, even if the video was recorded.
Right.
I could take the videos, put them on the LMS, have folks log in and log out on them, and then I've got a record in the LMS that they did them.
I'll let you know how it goes, and if I can write it up in a way, then other people can use it too. What are you telling us today, Calvin? How to come to Hobart?
Something like that.
Yay.
Yes, if somebody knows somebody at Tulsa Welding School, any of the other private industry type weld or private type welding schools that might want to present to me that information, again, it's not really COVID-19 related as much as it is just information for my students that I can put in the back of my head. I'm actually trying to get a Navy recruiter to do a Zoom meeting with some of my students in the future. But one that's a home maintenance technician, what I was, that's gone through the Navy's welding program.
Okay.
I have a couple contacts I can get you for Tulsa.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good. Oh, I was in the Navy, but I was in the Navy. I got out, I don't know, back when the ships were still wood and stuff. So, so what I know about it doesn't really matter today.
Right.
So, getting somebody in there to come in and say, this is what it's like now.
Okay.
Have you ever thought about like any businesses? Like, I know we got Lincoln, but other than like curriculum stuff, like maybe companies that are looking for welders for the welding instructors.
Yep. That's even something that I think I know that many folks could use some training on that, or how to, what questions to ask business and industry.
Like what weld tests, what's their procedures, what metal do they weld on, what process, things like that,
Matter of fact, I did an interview with some yesterday. I did a Zoom meeting with some of them just for local manufacturer here. Asking them specifically what their welding test was, what they're looking for. Do they really want all that stuff that they put in the job ad? And of course, they don't really. They use it as a filter. But yeah, doing that like with some of the major construction companies, even the trade unions. I thought about doing it with the Boilermakers, sheet metal workers here in Knoxville. Matter of fact, they're hiring.
I've got some of the national recruiters for the Boilermakers, the pipe fitters, all of those I can hook you up with too.
Yeah, if you got, I used to have contact. There was a guy, Tim, I think, that went around in the region. It was the Boilermakers recruiter, but I didn't see him last year. Or the first semester here at all. But I know that he'd come in when the other instructor was here. But yeah, any of those kind of contacts where I can. Because it'd be worthwhile to do that meeting with students, but it'd also be worthwhile to do a meeting like that with recruiters.
Yeah,
with instructors to to just let.
Yeah, I could get you in touch with them.
Yeah. How you doing there, Mr. Porter? We got a few people from Tennessee here today.
How you doing there?
I think the fellow that's in the Tennessee Department of Education for CTE, he had got word of my meetings. I'd sent him to one. I'd sent him an invitation, and then I think he put something out there about us doing them. Brenda's all upside down.
Can you see me, Gerald? This is Lonnie.
Should be.
The math that I got on the screen, that's the zip codes based on the people that actually filled out the form, but only about 7 folks did it. But that's kind of where everybody was from.
Good day, gentlemen.
How you doing?
Doing good.
Have any high school teachers heard anything about how you're going to attack the fall? Anybody got any for sure we're going to do something different and what that different is?
Nope, just trying to prepare for both approaches. I think like a lot of businesses, we're going to end up doing maybe a hybrid of some of the things we've done in the past in our classrooms, as well as, maybe some of the stuff that we tried over this period of time.
Yeah.
Here they're trying to do a weekly engagement, and we're supposed to take attendance, whatever it is, just to see if we'll have a chance to see what the interest is next year, if we do have to do some stuff online.
Gotcha.
In Vermont, we've been doing attendance forever, and that hasn't worked very well. But I got the okay yesterday. I get to do the D11 practice for a couple of weeks. So I'm going to have, minimum of 9 kids, 6 feet apart with masks, and we're going to be practicing.
Mr. Grant?
Yes.
Where are you at?
Vermont.
Okay. I keep a list of who's opening so I can try to show my boss.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, Kenneth, we got the same word yesterday that we could actually do our industry certification testing.
Yeah, IRCs.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I've got one guy in here today, as a matter of fact, practice. They've limited me to just 2 people though. So it's,
Yeah.
most of the students, they're not coming back. They're signed up for TCAT in the fall, and I think some of them have gone to work and that kind of stuff. So I think I've got about 6 out of 62 that are interested in coming into practice for actual certification test.
Are you familiar, Kenneth, instructor right around the Rutland area? Oh, Tony, yeah. He just came down and took a CWI here.
Yeah, I know. He's sort of my mentor.
Yeah, and he's probably got, I think we have 1 or 2 kids of his right now, maybe a little bit more, but we just had probably about 4 of his kids graduate.
From where? I'm sorry.
from Hobart.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a school in Burlington that's strictly Hobart. I instructed the Pike course there for years ago, but it's all Hobart, you know.
Yeah, I heard some of the kids talking about it that were here that went and looked, and they also came down here and looked and decided to come to school. And so.
Huh. So Tony, I mean, thought he already had a CWE. What, renewed it or?
I don't know if he did or if it was his first time. I think it might have been him renewing it, but I could be wrong. I think so.
Yeah, he said he did it 10 years ago or so. Yeah, it's probably his 9-year, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to take it myself, but in New Hampshire, they were going to have a test and I canceled it. I'm trying to find some AWS guy to see if they're going to open up anything up north, east for taking a test, except Boston. I have to go to Boston, I guess.
Well,
I saw that one of the instructors for AWS was setting up a classroom and it had a very limited number of desks in it. Paul Cameron, you know, he's on the forum and
Cameron, he's everywhere.
Yeah, but I saw him post on, you know, his friend on Facebook, and I saw him post his setup, and he had everything kind of spread out, you know, so ready to set up a class. So I imagine that they are doing the classes, but I don't know about the, you know, about the testing. But I imagine if they do the same thing during the testing, it's fine. But you know, if you have contact with him, and I may try to call him and see, you know, see if he knows if anything's going on. But again, you know, with people that were already signed up, I imagine it's just going to be a certain group is going to get pushed out a couple weeks or month or who knows. I know they're contacting them about their AWS accredited test facility audit because we're scheduled to have an audit here, and it was originally scheduled for March, and I've not got a date yet. I talked to the guy down there, and they said they haven't got enough information about the auditors traveling to make any decisions yet. So, you know, I may end up doing that in the middle of the summer. I was kind of hoping to have it done before summer break, but not going to happen, I don't believe.
Right.
Hey, Daryl, this is Lonnie. Can you see me?
See here, I've got.
Yeah, but it says Brenda on the screen. That's my wife.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
I was looking
we
at
can
moving
see
mouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, you doing, Lonnie?
So we have a school here, wellness school, and we've got 14 people right now, and they all just wear a mask all day, and they're in the booth, and then we break up the lunch so they have 6 feet apart, and they still keep their mask on as much as they can, and that's what we've been doing.
I'm hoping we can get to something like that. Like I said, I'm hoping in the fall though they do possibly reduce the number of students.
Yeah.
Only because I'm stingy with my time, and I'm not stingy with it, but I want everybody to get a little bit of it. And with 22 and 25, it's a little hard for me to get there.
Yeah.
If they cut that down a little bit, it'll be kind of nice. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. If you don't mind, go ahead and put your, you know, if you want to say hi to everybody, you can put something in the chat box there, type in your email address and that kind of stuff. One of the things that I ran into, I was actually going to post the text from the meetings, from the chats online. But when I post a text file, even if it's zipped up, it's real easy to somebody to come scrape the email addresses out of it. So I'm trying to think of another way to do that where your emails, if you type them in the chat box, you're not there. But I can also just send you the file directly. You know, just zip it up as a zip file and send that to you. So I'll go ahead and, you know, probably do that with this one here. But do type your name and your email address in there, you know, if you want to get a copy of that. Let's see what we got here. So this is our meeting today is actually going to be a presentation by Hobart. You know, as we go forward, I'm thinking about kind of shifting away a little bit from worrying, you know, too much about what we're going to do with COVID-19 as far as online teaching resources and stuff like that. We've covered a lot of those. We may revisit some of them again if there's some desire for it, but I don't really know, you know, without having that questionnaire filled out. But like I said, there's a lot of things I think as instructors we can share with each other for sure. Calvin is going to be letting us know about some of the training programs at Hobart. Now, for some of us, maybe that's not a great idea because you may be teaching teaching a welding course that is a replacement for Hobart, or not, not necessarily in reality, but maybe in theory. My view is this: if I could get a good deal on a Hobart class that was just basic introduction to welding, I would be there tomorrow. I would tell my wife, hey, we're going to Ohio or wherever for a visit, and I would be gone, because it would be interesting not only for me to build up my welding skills in an environment where I'm, taught by someone else. And I don't care if it's a 25-year-old or 20-year-old. I don't care. If they can teach me something, I'm glad to hear it. But also just the opportunity to see them teach is of value to me. So I think as we can't really rule out anything that we can share with our students that may help them. They may decide to get 6 months through a program and say, hey, I've got to drop out. Well, that's an option for them, and say, hey, there's Hobart, there's Tulsa Welding School, there's, the Welding Academy in Alabama. There's a lot of different places, and I'm not familiar with all of them yet. But there's definitely some resources there for us as instructors. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Calvin here in a minute. We're going to go over the Hobart Welding School, maybe talk about some of the previous resources, depending on how much time is left. There's only a few entries on that Google form. I know David Porter put a mention on there about maybe talking to some of the Tennessee instructors about some of the AWS options. So that might be, maybe something that we can do at the end of it. And I'm curious, the Weld Ed meeting tomorrow, I don't know if everybody read the actual email that I sent out, but they're going to be have a presentation from Miller in their open book, but instead of just being the open book presentation, they're going to talk about how to interface it with Canvas. So that's something that's kind of interesting to me. So I'm planning on being there for that one.
What time?
Go ahead.
What time is it?
It's at 1 o'clock tomorrow, Eastern time.
Do you have to be on Facebook?
Well, that's where the link is at, but I can send you the link. I thought I'd actually put the actual link in the email I sent out last, but I may not have. If you'll send me a message, an email back, Kenneth.
I already did about 10 minutes ago.
Okay. I'll send you, I've got the actual link. Their Facebook group is closed. It's not open to the public. One of the reasons that my process is kind of convoluted is because I don't want to post Zoom links out there in the public domain. So that's why we go through Eventbrite. The other way to do it is like I've got another Facebook for welding instructors, but it's open to the public. So I don't post the Zoom meetings there, and that keeps people from just randomly dropping in. Because if you notice, when you click that link, it brings you right to the meeting. So Weld Ed posts there in their Facebook group, but
I just tried to click on through Eventbrite, and it told me to fill out some survey again and on and on.
Yeah.
And I said, screw that. I went right back to your Zoom.
Yeah, that's why I've got seven responses. Yeah, the purpose of the survey is about knowing what your questions are. If you've got some kind of interest. So if you ain't got nothing to, change from before, it ain't no big deal. But yeah, I just use that to kind of give me a guideline for doing the meetings. So we'll go ahead and move on. Plans for next fall. Like I said, if you got some of that stuff you can share at the end of the meeting, I'd be interested in knowing about it for sure. But I'm going to go ahead and make Calvin the presenter. And you should have got a notification there, Calvin.
Okay, let me get my screen shared here.
All right.
How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Well, I do want to introduce myself. My name is Calvin Scher. I'm with Hobart Institute of Welding Technology, based in the Troy, Ohio area. Yeah, you might think Ohio. There's two big companies, Hobart and Lincoln in Ohio. We're down in the western half of Ohio, kind of almost southwestern-ish of the state maps there. But kind of want to talk to you guys today about the program, about what we offer here at the school, and it might be useful for some instructors if you might be looking for some PDH hours or personal development hours. We do offer classes that you can take here, whether it be on our tech side or even if you want to take a skill, what we call skill program classes here at the school. and I'll kind of go over that with you. Just to kind of give a background about the school, a lot of you hear the Hobart product, the Hobart company, Hobart welders, filler rods, whatever it might be, but kind of give you a little laydown of how the school got started. The company's been around making Hobart welders filler for a long time. I think earliest I know is before the late 1800s that I've seen on the timeline. And they actually, one of the Hobart brothers started the school in 1930. And a lot of people don't know about us, but we are a nonprofit, which kind of is a nice thing for the students here, is because we do take portions of the tuition that the students pay here at Hobart, and it gets reinvested back into the school. Kind of a stipulation there with the nonprofit side. And we became a nonprofit in 1940. So, for example, some of the things that the tuition the students pay that goes back into is, one of the biggest thing is the metals. We cut, we prep, we bevel all the metal for the students. All the metal is brand new. There is no rust, there's no scrap metal. We don't have any donations by any company. We purchase all of our metal and we cut it and bevel it for the students, so they don't have to do any of the prep work whatsoever. We have had some expansions. We have expanded the school, probably comparative to like the Lincoln size. We are up there, even maybe just a little bit bigger, but we've had expansions in 2013 and 2017. We moved to the building that we're in now in 1978, and we've kind of just expanded from there. As you kind of see in my lower left-hand picture there, we did add a new technical building. It has 25 weld booths where we teach our CWI classes, and we also do our NDT classes like liquid pen and mag particle. Kind of talk about the agenda here. As I was mentioning just a minute ago, first I'll kind of talk about what I do. You also see Janet Pihuchki. She is also on the call here with us. Me and Janet actually work in the same department. Our titles is actually marketing and career development. So a little bit about what we do there is we actually come out to high schools and talk to students about our program. We're a little different than a lot of those colleges that you guys might see. We don't try to push the students to come to Hobart. We don't beg them to come to their houses and enroll to our programs. The students actually have to come and enroll themselves. We're not admissions representatives. We don't take any application fees. They actually have to come to the school and do that at the school. And we don't handle any of that as well. We just come out to the school, talk about the program, kind of like what I'm going to talk to you guys a little bit today about. And if they're interested in coming, they'll come in and do the enrollment themselves. So kind of 4 key parts that go on with the school here is our skill training, our tech training, and our curriculum. We also have a collaborate to educate, which I'll kind of talk about here in a second. But first start off the skill training. So if you had a student out of your high school that was interested in coming, I know we have some post-secondary, but there are some individual classes, which I'll talk about too. But if a student out of your high school program wanted to come to Hobart, they can come take our 2 welding programs. We have 2 programs. One's a 24-week and one's a 40-week program, which I'll get into more detail here on that, which kind of breaks down to about a 6 and a 10-month program. So they can get done in less than a year. We also have individual classes. So this kind of would play to the part of you as instructors. If you did ever want to come and take a titanium class, we have a titanium class. If you ever wanted to come and take a pipe layout class or a downhill class or something of that nature, we do have other, we have a new aerospace program that you can come and take some individual classes. And a lot of you might hear about our tech training, which you see our CWI courses. We do have a 2-week. We're one of a few that do have a 2-week CWI course. We also have NDT training, so you can come and take anything as your liquid pen or mag particle. We don't do the ASNT testing, but you can actually go to a Prometric site and do your AS&T testing there for, I believe it would get you up to, I believe almost a level 2 is what they say. And then also to answer your question there, Gerald, anything specialized, we could set something up if you wanted to do a specialized training course. They could, I could get you in touch with our gentleman that could help you out. If you want to take a course and you want to do it to Inconel or Hastelloid, or you want to do it to any kind of metal, or, you know, something more than just steel or aluminum, we can set a specialized training up and get an instructor for you and kind of teach that for you and how you wanted to do that. We have a lot now. I should say that specialized training's more to the companies. We have a lot of companies that come in and say, hey, we want to work to this WPS. And if they don't have one, we can create that for them too and go from there. And then also on the tech side, we have the certifications. This can go for you personally as an instructor, or we can even set them up in the state of Ohio, which I was kind of talking about last week. The state of Ohio now, every student has to have some sort of certification for graduation. They have a point-based system that they do, and portion of that point-based system can be a qualification, or it can be a certification. And then the textbooks, this is something you can purchase. We don't have, I don't know if anybody is using the Hobart curriculum or not at their schools, but we do have textbooks you can purchase. And one thing I did find out, Gerald, is we are now having a site license where you can actually get our videos, and you can purchase them. It's an extra $500 fee, and you get them for 3 years. So you can, and it has to be downloaded to your intranet system at your school. And then you can share them how you want through the school. I know a question that you've always been asking, Gerald, is about being able to implement your own kind of training in there. If you want to add notes, that has not come about yet, but they're kind of working on some new stuff as well with that and going there. And then the last thing, we do have a Collaborate to Educate, which I'll kind of talk about that. It's an instructor's training seminar that we put on every summer. If you're looking for some more personal development hours, it's a kind of a instructor get together and kind of talk about their programs, and kind of like what we're doing here on the Zoom, but we do it over the summertime for the instructors themselves. So kind of in a nutshell, this is kind of encompassing what we do at the school, from our corporate training to our technical training to curriculum and our skill training for the students that want to come here and take the programs. So again, what I was saying about what I do, the other portion of my job is the career development or job assistance. Like any other college, you might have a career service program that might help the students find jobs. Janet and I do help the students with any kind of job assistance that they, wherever they want to go. I know there's Gina on here. She's out of Washington. She had some students come. I know there's some other instructors on here that have had students come to Hobart, and I've dealt with their students, helping them find jobs from, you know, wherever they want to go. We have resume assistance, job placement. I've had students do Zoom interviews or also Skype interviews. And we also put on 3 job fairs a year here at the school so that the students can get in front of the companies, which my pictures below kind of show some of our job fairs that we put on in the recent times. We just actually had one in March, and I believe we had almost 40 companies from all over the United States. I think we had, I believe, 10 different states that were represented here from about 40 different companies. So with the programs and classes that the students can take, so getting into the skill training. As I had mentioned, we have 2 programs, our 24-week program and also our 40-week, which is my next slide. The 24-week program goes over structural welding, everything from blueprint to oxy fuel, to your stick, to your TIG, to your MIG, to flux core. And we also have a weldability or also metallurgy class there at the end that the students will take. Now with the programs, we do start on a monthly basis. So students can come in any month that they like to, as long as they have graduated from high school and have a high school diploma and pay the registration fee. That's all that's required to get started here with the program. So 24-week, this one only goes over structural. So everything from your T's to your laps to your butt joints, corner joints, things like that. A lot of students that are interested, they do come. I'd say majority of our students come and take the pipe program. This is our 40-week program, or closely to about a 10-month program. So less than a year, the students could get done with the programs. Now, each class is, as I said, on a week-by-week basis. Each student takes one class at a time, and they're in that class for either 2 weeks, 1 week, or 4 weeks long. And then they move on to their next class. And I do also say individual courses, because if you as an instructor, you wanted to say, come and take a TIG class, you wanted to come take TIG basic, or you want to come take TIG titanium because you don't do much TIG welding in your classroom. Those are ones you can come and just take one of those individual classes for personal development hours over the summertime, and maybe brush up or hone up on your skills, or maybe learn TIG titanium. You've never welded it before. Probably the coolest class I would say that I've taken that you guys would maybe have really interest in is the weldability class. Going over your ferrous, non-ferrous metals, grain structures and metals, all your class sizes for aluminum, and all your, your 304, 308, all the different properties of stainless, things like that. So you could come as an instructor and just take one class if you would like to. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me too. I'll answer whatever I can. Now, go ahead, Gerald.
I just want to say one thing. I've got a separate screen recording. I'm recording the who is here. If you want a record for PDH, you'll have to let me know. But also, if your screen name is listed up as something besides something that you could use for proof, you may want to put your picture on there or something like that if you can. Again, if you want, this may work as a record for PDHs for you attended some type of professional development. So I'm actually recording all of the icons that are up here for everybody that's in the meeting. I just wanted to let you know that if you want to. If you think you might want to use them later and you didn't put your name in there clearly or initials, you can turn your camera on. Sorry about that.
Okay. So again, with the classes there, our next thing here we have, we did actually go through and add some new individual courses that students can take. A couple of these we've had on there, but a couple that we just added recently, and there are more individual classes that, we call them additional courses that students can take. We have a pipe layout class, which is an extra 2 weeks. We have a downhill class. A lot of kids want to go in the pipeline, so as you know, Gerald, a lot of your pipelines all downhill. We just actually started an aerospace program, 2 weeks class, and a stainless class as well, 2 weeks there. So students can learn how to do 2-inch stainless if they're going into any pressure vessels or boiler systems or food grade equipment, stainless things for that. And a couple that are in our technical classes, we also implemented students are now able to take visual inspection, arc inspection, and liquid penetrant and mag particle if they do want to get more into maybe CWI or become a NDT tester at some point in their career. So go ahead.
Question, what would be the best way for me to present your class opportunities to my students? I have other schools that actually will send representatives to talk to the class.
What part of Missouri are you in, Kurt?
I'm just outside of Kansas City in Platte City.
Because I go actually out to Missouri. I get to about Columbia, but I mean, I'm sure I might even be able to do a special trip. How far are you from Columbia?
Halfway across the state. We're in the northwest corner, just on the north side of Kansas City.
Okay. Maybe if you shoot me an email, once everything gets back and you're allowed to have people in, maybe make a special trip there.
If I can jump in, Calvin and I will do a Skype or or FaceTime at the beginning of the school year and then again at the end so the kids can kind of see it. I found that it's very overwhelming because we're in Washington and people just especially parents at a high school, they've never heard of this. They don't know anything about this. And to say, well, go to Ohio and check it out is a little overwhelming for them. And Calvin's always done a really good job of like contacting the parents and sort of walking them through the process. And I have had students that have gone out and taken the tour. It's a little weird for the parents of the high school students to think of a welding college, if you will. But once you break it down and you get the kids, the idea in the kids' heads, then it's something they're looking forward to at the end of the school year.
Yeah, and I think I've probably gotten about 4 calls already from some of your students and parents so far since our last presentation, Gina.
Good.
So, and if it's something I can't, Kurt, make it to the school, we can always do a Skype or a Zoom presentation like this if you want to.
Yeah, I think a lot of things are going to go that way. I think it would be probably the best for the time spent. I think maybe for some of the other schools.
If anybody does, I have my email on one of my last slides here. We can just stay in contact that way, and we can either set up a Zoom or I can if I can come in, I will try to make it into your school. So with the individual courses there, those ones are broken out the cost right next to each individual course. Now, if you did want to come take one of those additional courses, you can. Those additional courses are separate. This is actually the cost here for the 24-week and the 40-week program. So if any of your students or you yourself wanted to come take the stainless 2-inch, for example, that would be a separate charge rather than the whole program cost here. So for the 20-week structural program, right now it is at $11,400, and for the 40-week pipe program, it is at $19,000 even. So what you see in there included as well is, or separately I should say, is books cost, supply cost, and registration. The $125 will save whatever month that they'd like to get started. I can tell you, if you have students that are interested, I would have them definitely get on enrolling now as either juniors or seniors. We have seniors that have already pretty much booked up every month until, I believe we're booked until either December or January right now. And also included with the cost of tuition, as I mentioned at the beginning, we do cut all the metal for the students. So in that $19,000 or $11,000, we cut and prep all the metal for the students. And they have the possibility of earning some certifications. At the bottom you see there, we do go through, they have 5 QC7 certifications that they will take in the 10-month program. And in the 6-month program, there are 4 QC7 certifications that they have the ability to pass and get out of the program. If they do not pass those certifications, they do get a second chance to take them. And if they do not pass them on the second chance, they can pay for them on the third chance, but they are first 2 times free.
Calvin, is there some kind of breakdown on what you consider supplies? I mean, is that, I guess what I'm getting to is there any tools or protective equipment or anything like that that you provide?
Yeah, with their supplies, they're gonna get their general basic stuff. Probably most of them will have a lot of the stuff coming from a welding program such as yours or anybody else's. Helmet, jacket, gloves, chipping hammer, brushes, things of that nature. If you do want to get a supply list, if you go into our website and you go under, I got a slide and showing you where the website is, but I believe it's under our programs tab, and it's going to have a list of supplies that they need. Now, they can go buy their supplies at, say, Lowe's or Home Depot or Harbor Freight, but we also have a supply store here at the school that they can purchase their gear. Nice thing with purchasing the stuff here at the school is, since we're nonprofit, all of their supplies, they sell it to them tax-free. So they get everything tax-free. And we have a pretty good name brand stuff. We sell Jackson helmets. We have BSX and Black Stallion gear. So it's nothing, I should say, low cost. It's very well maintained products that they're going to be using for their supplies if they want to purchase them here at the school. But if they have their own auto darkening helmet, they can bring their own auto darkening helmet. Mainly in the supply list, that's only going to be a fixed lens helmet. So if they want to bring their own auto darkening, they can too. One of my Janet, one of my cohorts actually sent this information to me. This actually came from the Georgetown Ed. They actually did a study on some of the top return on investment schools in the United States. And we actually came up 19th out of, I believe it was, I think maybe 100 schools that we came up the top 19th most return on investment school in the United States. So I thought that was pretty good. Go ahead, Jenna, I'm sorry.
It was 19th out of 4,500 post-secondary schools.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And it gets them ready for me doing school out there at 11.
Mhm.
Now, for your students, so they know, they must be at least 16 years or older to apply. If they're under 18, parents do have to sign for them. And as I mentioned just a minute ago, they do have to have a GED or a high school diploma to start the program. So those are really the only requirements, plus the registration fee. We also are a accredited school. So with that, the students can actually apply for any financial aid or Title IV funding. So just like if they were to go to any other college, 4-year, 2-year institute, they can go through and apply for the financial aid. And again, it's, see who, for those who qualify, you have the Pell Grants, you have the loans. There are also all alternative loans that they can go through. We do have a lot of military. That brings me to another point. We are a military-friendly school. So any students of yours that might go on to the military and want to come back to Hobart, we do accept the GI Bill post 9/11. We do have voc rehab that is held through the school here too, that people will come and use that. A lot of adults or some even parents let their sons and daughters use that as well. Another one is scholarships. So to help with cost, a lot of students ask, I don't know if I can afford this. Well, there's a lot of scholarships out there. We have a scholarship here at the school the students can apply through. The city that we're located in, Troy, has a foundation that even students from out of state that can use this scholarship. American Welding Society, as most of you know, might have some students that apply for the AWS scholarship. In the state of Ohio, the Ohio Oil and Gas, or also known as OGEEP, has a scholarship. One thing to know about that, if you are in a surrounding state of Ohio that borders Ohio, actually we found that your students can apply for that. So Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, your students can apply for that OGEEP. And you might even have like Kurt, you might have a Missouri oil and gas scholarship out in Missouri that you can look into, or Gina out in Washington, or whatever other states we have in here. Now, real quick, there are some housing options for students, because I know students, a lot of you are from out of states, farther away. We do have locations for students to rent while they're here. We don't have dorms like your typical colleges. Your bigger universities have dorms. A lot of the people here in Troy, because Troy's a very small town, 20 to 25,000 in the town. A lot of the renter rooms are actually people that own houses here in Troy, and they rent their houses out to students. There are apartments, and a lot of the kids like to go to the campgrounds too. They pull campers all the way from the state that they're from, and there's a lot of campgrounds that they can come and stay at for the whole 6 or 10 month program while they're here. Now, to get into technical classes, these are a couple of the technical classes that we offer. Again, the specialized training that I was mentioning to you, Gerald, if anybody wanted to specialize to a certain class or any kind of metal, we can set up the WPS for you and do a specialized training. But some of the technical classes that are offered, that we have visual inspection, arc inspection, MTPT class. We also have a welder for non-welder, mainly a lot of HR people, people in the welding industry that haven't welded but are working in the welding field and need to know the basics of welding, take the welder for non-welder class. And then a lot of you know our CWI and recertification for CWI and CWS. We also have a certified welding supervisor. That is a course that some will take to get, you know, more notches on their belt there with the CWS. And then also, if you want a code endorsement, we do that for this, I should say students, but companies or instructors, whoever comes take the CWI. You can take the CWI to, say, D11 and get a code endorsement for API 1104 if you'd like to. Now, if you go to our website, this would pertain to you, Kurt, to answer the question that you'd asked about earlier with the supply list. You go to the programs there, that will show you, the programs tab will show you the supply list. But to talk about the CWI, if you go to our website, it is www.welding.org. And then you go under the Tech, Training, and Corporate Services. And then it should have a blue link below that once that opens up for the CWI course. Right now here at the school for the CWI course, it is $1,700. It is a 2-week, 80-hour class. And as you see at the top corner of my slide there, I also have the books cost. You can purchase your CWI book here at the school, which we only really test to the 1104 and the D11. Those books cost are right there. I just got that Monday. So those are recent costs. And if you do have a D11 book, 2020, they just came out with the New Year edition. So every 5 years, there's a New Year D11 code book that comes out. So you'd probably want to update to the 2020 version of the D11 code book. So kind of going a little background of the CWI, how many questions are on there, how many questions you need to pass. As you guys all know, there are 3 parts to the CWI. Right now, or I should say just recently, they have switched over some of the parts. The A and C now have to be taken at a Prometric site. Part B is tested here at the school. So Part A is the fundamentals, which there is 150 questions. To pass that with a 70, everything has to be passed by 72%. And the 72% for the Part A is 108 on the questions there. 33 questions correct, which is 46 questions on the Part B. And the Part C, there is 50 to 60 questions, depending on which code book you test to there. And also the CWE is a separate application and fee for that. So if you're looking to get your CWE, I believe I think it's somewhere between $400 to $500 for the application for the CWE. Now for renewal, I do get a lot of questions on this from a lot of instructors. For your CWI, you do have to return in and do the application every 3 years. And as you know, 9-year recertification or retest to Part B, you also can use 80 hours of continuing education for that. I have had instructors in some of the states I go to, they do use their teaching at their high school to use that for their recertification. And then CWE is every 4 years. And if you do not pass all 3 parts, then that's when you get into the CAWI, which is the associates, which means you failed one of the parts or 2 of the parts there. The liquid pen and mag particle class. If you have any interest in, liquid pen or MT, we do have that class there. This is an extra class you can take for any PDH hours as well, 40 clock hours. And going over all your mag particle and liquid penetrant testing. This can get you to, I believe it says in here, to the level 2 of your NDT, or your ASNT, I should say. That kind of, in the below, the yellow kind of talks about some of the procedures that they're going to do with your liquid pen and mag particle there on how long that is. That class is a 1-week class. If you had a week that you wanted to come and get some personal development hours, you can come and take that here at the school. And I believe we offer that one. I think they do it. I don't know, Janet. I think it's like 4 times a year. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's about right.
So the liquid pen. Real quick to go back to CWI, you can actually come and take your CWI here. We do it once a month too, just like any of the classes. If you wanted to get your CWI, or like any of the students, they come and take classes every month. We do have a monthly CWI, because I think, Kenneth, you were talking about getting your CWI, and it was kind of tough to find where the next location was. But if you did ever want to come to the school here, they offer it every month that you can come and take the CWI. And we are still running right now. We got back up and running last Monday, so we've been going for about a week and a half so far. So next topic, going into our textbooks. If you're looking for any, we don't have anything online yet. There's hopefully going to be coming of that, getting our curriculum online. But if you would like to purchase any books for next year, you can purchase them. I did put the link down here to the bottom. I don't know if Gerald, you can copy this link and put it in the chat so everybody can get that. But if you did want to get to the course catalog for that, it is also on the website. So if you go to the welding.org website, right next to the tech training tab at the top there, there is a tab for any course catalog for any books and materials.
There are technical training classes online, but just none of the welding classes.
Yeah, that's correct. We do have some online technical classes that you can take, and those are specified on the cost, and you can set that up online if you'd like to for any technical training. One thing I was mentioning at the beginning, we do have a site license that you can purchase for your school. If you go on to the course catalog, it will mention about that, kind of explains here. There is a $500 fee that you can add to the DVDs if you purchase the DVDs through the school here, and you can get actually a site license for 3 years and use those DVDs for any online training if you don't go back to school right away. Anything from your MIG, your stick, your TIG classes. Now they are only videos, but you can have that sent to your internet server at the school and then distribute it how you want to there. I know the gentleman from Lincoln was talking about the posters last week. We do have some of the very similar ones here at the school. We do have a little bit of a cost on them. They are $8 per poster. But if you'd like to purchase those, you can purchase that on the website as well, and we can have those shipped to you. Anything from, your different positions to your different welds to your examples of good and bad welds, going too fast, going too slow, things like that. And I did want to mention our Collaborate to Educate. So if you would want to come, we do have one every summer. This year's summer educational course for the instructors did get postponed due to the virus, but we will have one next year. It's basically a Collaborate for instructors to come to talk about their programs, kind of like what we're doing here. We have industry professionals come and speak about cost-saving tips. We've had ventilation systems come and talk about how to do your ventilation systems. We've had gas companies. We've had, the big companies talk about machines and welders. And we've also done some hands-on welding stuff too. So if you do, like you said, Gina, if you need some more personal development hours, you can come and do some hands-on welding. And then round tables. And then as you see in my picture down here, we do actually have a scholarship raffle at the end where you can, we raffle off some of the cost of the CTE back to the instructors. So you actually can take, I think some of them were like $100 to $200 to even up to a $500 scholarship back to a student and give that to them if you win that scholarship at the end of the 2-day CTE conference. I just want to kind of go through some pictures too, just to kind of show the school. I know since we're all locked down, it's kind of hard to come up and see the school and take a tour while you guys have the whole summer off. So I thought I'd bring some pictures to you so you guys can see kind of a little layout of what the school looks like. So with both the roofs cut off, this kind of shows you how big a size the school is. We have 345 weld stations here at the school. Go ahead. Was somebody had a question? No? Okay. We have 345 weld stations here at the school. We have a metal processing area where we cut and prep all the metal. If you look, the building over here to the left is our technical building where we have the CWI and any specialized training or corporate training here for companies or technical training. This is kind of the main hallway of the main entrance as you come in. A lot of welding booths. Ventilation system is spectacular. We have, I believe, 5 or 6 dust collectors out back that are pulling the air out of each booth. Multiple aisleways of welding booths with about 10 to 12 booths down each side. Since the virus is going on, I know some of you talked about spacing out the students. We have gone through and implemented a every other booth position right now. So there is every one student to every other booth. The booth sizes are about 5 feet wide, 5 to 6 feet wide by about 8 feet deep. We did have a fixture set into the ground there. You have your poles there that you can rotate and change positions, which this is one of the pipe classes. Student doing it in 6G position there. Every student has a welder. We run all millers here at the school, and gas is piped into every booth, so the students don't have to change their bottles. So we have a full manifold system out back that pipes in all the CO2 or argon. Like I was mentioning, our metal processing area, this is pretty much a full functioning shop, pretty much. We have somebody back there every day cutting and prepping metal. The top left corner picture is a picture of one of our newest pipe bevelers that actually cuts and bevels pipe. It can cut about a 6-inch pipe and bevel both sides in about 1 minute and 30 seconds. So it's a pretty nice, hefty machine. As you see in the couple of pictures, we have bins and bins of stacked metal for the students to come back and take all their metal to their booth and start tacking it up and welding it. As I mentioned, the ventilation system that's pulling out of the building, out of every booth as well. And the accrediting testing facility over in our technical lab. We can shoot x-ray, we can do bends, we can do destructive testing, non-destructive testing. Right now, we're doing qualifications for high schools. If they wanted to do any qualification testing for their students to get a certain qualification, they're doing it for $95. That's going to be a cut and a bend. And if you want to do any QC7 testing and get a certification for your students, they do it for around about $375. If you need us to write the WPS or the PQR, or if you have one already, we can send it down to AWS and get that all set up and put together. It might be a little bit change in cost there, but that's kind of the basics of the WPSs that we already have set up here at the school. And a little bit of history, because Hobart's been around for a pretty long time, just kind of showing some old welders. We have a gallery here, kind of a museum to kind of show off the welders that Hobart made back in the day. So if you ever do get a chance to come and take a tour of the school and you want to come see the museum and the gallery of all the old welders, me and Janet would be glad to show you guys around and show you the welders that they made back in the day. And so last but not least is the webpage, welding.org. And that's where you can find everything from programs to the individual courses, to tech training, to even the bookstore, buying any curriculum on there. One thing we have gone through, if you do have some of the videos, we have gone through and updated some of our DVDs. A lot of them are now up to the 1080 HD quality. And if you did want to get new DVDs, they are giving a 20% discount to you as an instructor at the school. to get any DVDs or curriculum there for your school purchase. I know that was one thing a lot of you guys had talked about. Some of you had talked about in last week's about cost, and I know somebody had brought up the question of asking, is there any discount because of our budgets being cut? We are offering 20% discount if you'd like to purchase some DVDs or even books themselves right now. A couple emails. If you don't already have my email and Janet's email, mine is calvin.share@welding.org. And Janet is janet.phutchke. I know some people say like Pichaki, but it is Janet Phutchke at welding.org. If you're looking for anything in the tech, CWI, certification, specialized training, Gerald, I know you're talking about the class that you'd like to maybe set your own kind of parameters. Get a hold of Chip. He would be the gentleman to set up for any technical training. It's chip.prinz@welding.org. And then if you're interested in any curriculum, books, DVDs, site license, things like that, you can get a hold of Shonda Allen, shonda.allen@welding.org. So does anybody have any questions for me there? That's pretty much it for me.
I've got one, Calvin. Do you guys keep any kind of history of your employment rate or follow up with students after they've completed your school?
Yeah, so for every year, our calendar year runs from July 1st to June 30th. Me and Janet do have to keep a certain amount of students, find out where they're working, and then we run reports at the June 30th timeframe to see how many students we placed and what the percentage is there. Right now, I think last year for our academic year, we were at 94% for that. I don't know, Janet, do you have anything to say with that there?
Well, just that it brings us back to that Georgetown University study that ranked 19th for 10-year return on investment. So if you were able to look that up on their website, you'll see that most of schools, on the top 20, I guess, are either pharmaceutical, nursing, underwater welding, or welding in that top 20.
All right.
But yeah, we have to keep up with every student. So every time, I mean, it's never stopping here. I know, like, you teach at some TCATs, and they have some classes where it's, you have them for 9-week or 12-week semester quarter. Every month there's new kids coming in, there's new kids graduating. So we have to keep up with all the ones that are graduating, and we get a list every about month or two. We print off a new list of students that graduated and try to find them. If they don't have a job, try to help them, or if they do have a job, try to get their information there, and then got to put it in our system. And to keep our that's a big thing there with certifications, or I'm sorry, with our accreditations. If we don't have a high certain placement rating, we lose our accreditation there. So we got to keep that. Welding right now is high in general, but that's a big thing I tell a lot of students to look at what the job what the job placement rate is for the students at that school.
All right.
Kevin, could you talk a little bit about the class schedules?
With the class schedules, we have right now we are running 2 shifts. We have they are Monday through Friday. So we don't have classes on the weekend. We do have a few holidays that they have off, but it's a pretty much year round. Pretty much the only holidays they have off is going to be Thanksgiving time, Christmas time, and New Year's in between with that Christmas. And then we have Memorial Day coming up, and 4th of July and Labor Day. Those are pretty much the only holidays they have off. And then they're going to be here in class. Morning shift runs 8 to 4, and afternoon shift runs 4 to 11:30. And then whatever month they pick. So if out in Missouri, if you guys graduate kids in May and they want to get started in June, they could be done in less, 6 months to 10 months. if they add any of those additional courses like the stainless 2-inch or any other, pipe layout or downhill, it might add a couple extra weeks, but most likely they'll be done within the 10 months, if not a couple weeks later, if they take any additional courses from there. Yeah, Gerald.
I think I was thinking it was a chat question from Elisa about the DVDs and being ADA compliant with subtitles. Wondering if you had any kind of plans for that in any of the newer DVDs, whether they're going to come out with subtitles or not.
I don't know that question there. Probably the best person to answer that would be Shonda Allen right there. She'd be the best one to answer the subtitle question there. Sorry, I can't see any of the questions. I need to get out of this here so I can see that. Let's see.
I answered some of them for you, Calvin.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions for me that I can answer?
I'll go ahead and take it back and we can finish up if nobody's got any other questions for Calvin. Calvin, I really appreciate you coming and spending some time with us for sure. He's been pretty consistent, just showing up for the meetings in general. So I'd ask, if you didn't mind doing a presentation. The same thing goes for the rest of you. If anybody's got something that they'd like to share in one of the meetings, we can do that. If you've got some ideas for, things you've done training-wise, problems you've overcome, whether it be related to COVID-19 or not, things as a welding instructor, feel free to be the person that presents that information. The whole purpose of this is for us to network as welding instructors. It's not necessarily about, having business or industry or a specific company come in. It's any of us. And I'm sure some of us have some pretty good ideas, about how things that we can maybe share with somebody else. Kenneth Grant did make a statement in here. Maybe somebody else knows about it. But he'd asked about these meetings being suitable for a professional advisory committee, and it may very well be. So it may be something that you can look at as far as a recording or something like that, that you may be able to get some credit for having, interaction with other people in the industry. I know that I serve on even though I'm a teacher, I serve on other advisory committees for other teachers. They allow that to a certain extent. So that may be something, these meetings may be suitable for that, because obviously in the future, we may not be able to have those face-to-face meetings where we can bring everybody in for a hot dog and sit down and talk about what their company needs.
Yeah, I see Kurt's question about the videos. They are updated, so if you did want to purchase some new ones, they do give, like I said, a 20% discount. A lot of the older ones were outdated. They did go to the 1080 HD, so those are been updated since. If you want to purchase some more,
There's an additional percentage off if you owned a previous set. Like, so if you had, the old VHS videos and you moved up to the newer CDs or DVDs and stuff, there's an addition beyond the 20%. There's an additional percentage off.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and talk about a few other things real quick, and then we'll be done with the meeting. Get my right screen back up here, and I can take over control again. Be somebody.
thanks for letting me share, Gerald.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you taking care of it for us.
I thought I'd make it more entertaining to everybody, because we're not just a school for students. I mean, everybody can come take some kind of course if they need something.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, as I was talking at the beginning, I think as instructors, knowing what other resources out there for our students to learn more, but also resources for us to learn a little bit more is pretty valuable. That's for sure.
And we've seen people here in their 60s and above. I mean, me and Janet have seen a lot of different age groups of people, so you're not too old to learn.
Yeah. Yeah, the biggest thing I'm learning is how much I don't know. All right, y'all see my screen now, the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. So if anybody, I think the majority of folks have been to these actual meetings before. But one of the things I wanted to go over, some of the resources that have been mentioned before, we've talked in the past about Miller's Open Book. It's a free resource for actually signing your students up and letting them go do courses. Not much student interaction, but it's a great piece of software for online learning for welding theory. Okay, and it's pretty much open to anybody. You've got to sign up for it. Some of the other mentioned, resources that have been talked about are some of the deals from the book publishers. And I'm not sure how much longer some of them are going to last, but they've got some really good deals on using some of their online materials through this situation where you can kind of test drive them without a whole lot of cost. Some of them continue that after that. Cengage has got some deals going on. McGraw-Hill, we had a presentation from a company called ICEV Online that was actually a video production company, but they've got some, pretty decent materials and at a good cost. So understand that anything that you come across maybe that might be useful to any other welding instructors, you can send me an email with it. The weldinginstructors.org website has got a list of links on there, and some of those links are actually already on there. You just go to weldinginstructors.org/links, it'll pop up. But some of these links of these things that we've already talked about are there. And if you want to add some to them, I think all you have to do is have a WordPress account, and then I can make you a contributor. If you've got something you want to write or say about welding that you'd like to share online, you can go ahead and do that. We can get that set up.
Gerald, may I add something?
Yes.
So I belong to a group called Women in Construction. NAWIC is what they're called. So we had a meeting last night, and they brought up this game that you play online, and I thought this would be great for welding students because basically everybody in the chat room competes against each other and they answer questions. You can make up the questions or you can go with whatever they have. So one of the ones we did was famous quotes from movies like nobody puts baby in the corner, or I'll be back, man, that kind of stuff. And the faster you answer, that moves you up to the top of the list. You could do that with welding questions.
Yeah, we actually do that with here in our class, a Kahoot.
Kahoot, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, so you already knew about it.
Yeah, but some teachers might not. There's Kahoot and there's Poll Everywhere. There's a couple of different online resources that you can do. I've actually done the Kahoots before with like a water inspection class that I was teaching, and then invited people off of a Facebook CWI group to come in and compete with them. A lot of them dropped off pretty quick because it was, but it was timed on the answers. So the quicker the student responded to it, the higher their score was. But yeah, Kahoot is a good one. I don't know if I've got it on here, but there are, resources like that out there. And again, if you've not ever looked at Kahoot, check it out. It's fun.
Sure.
For sure. Anyway, here's the links page, and it's got quite a few of them on there broken down by category. And they're ones that we've talked about here during this meeting. I'll probably go ahead and put Kahoot on there. But if you've got something to share, let me know. If you want to add some kind of content, a specific page to it, let me know and I can set you up as a contributor. The whole idea is being able to share information with other instructors. Let's see here. Let me get the old PowerPoint.
One thing I wanted to say too, it looks like B. Bennett, I think he's from Texas. He asked about the site fee for the videos. If you didn't see my message, it is $500 if you want to add the site license fee for the videos. And that does get you a 3-year time period, Mr. Bennett.
Calvin, is that something, even though I purchased my DVD set 4 years ago, that I could add?
Well, let me type in, I'm going to type in the chat box the lady you need to reach out to that, might be best to do Shonda, but let me give you,
Okay.
I'll give you one of our other lady that does curriculum. and you can reach out to her and see. She might be able to help you out, but I'll type her email in. Her name is Linda. I'll type her email, and then you can send her an email.
Thank you.
Other thing to go over is the questions from the form. Only a few people filled any out. Let's see what we got in here. David, are you still here? David Porter? And I'll get with David. I know David.
Okay.
So it doesn't look like anybody had any specific questions that that they wanted brought up during the meeting or something that we could help with. What I intend on doing, if you signed up for this meeting and your email's in the chat or it's in the previous list of emails, probably next week, unless I come up with something else, going to actually start a series on welder qualification and testing. So, if you're already experienced with that, it may not be the thing for you, but you may have something you can contribute. So that's the plan for right now is actually it's going to be a series of meetings to go through the welder performance qualification testing requirements of AWSD 1.1 and also touch on AWSB 2.1, which is the AWS generic standard. So if you're interested in learning a few more details about that, so this is going to be more for educating us as instructors than it is necessarily for something as your students, but it may be something if you want to do your own welder performance qualification testing and you want to make sure that you're doing it in accordance with the code, then I may be able to help you out with that. I've been testing welders for quite a few years. Doesn't mean I'm an expert at it. I could be doing it all wrong, and I've been doing it for a long time. But we'll go over what the code actually says, AWSD 1.1. So it's also going to be one of those meetings where it's going to be good if you have the actual code book, okay? AWSD 1.1 or AWSB 2.1. They're kind of different when it comes to welder performance qualification. They're vastly different, but it's still something that we can kind of jump back and forth between as we go through the training. It's probably going to be 3 or 4 sessions, so it may not be something that you're interested in. But if you decide that you're not interested in those subjects, but have some other stuff that you would like to have covered or maybe present, let me know, and I can, we can take a break from the welder qualification testing, or put it after these are over. And it's also going to depend on how many people sign up and are interested. So it's going to be one you're going to have to go fill out the Eventbrite request. I don't want to put a whole lot of time and effort into it if nobody's interested. But if 3 or 4 people are interested, then I'll be doing it. Anybody got any questions? All right. There was also a feedback form that was sent out in the email. If you can do that, let me know any negative comments about the meeting so I can do them better. Remember the WeldEd meeting tomorrow. I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, WeldEd's meeting. Matter of fact, I'll go ahead and get there. I'll post the link for it in the chat.
Hey, Gerald, while you're doing that,
Yeah.
I've read an article you had, and just one of the comments stood out in my mind, and I thought maybe we could talk about it just as a topic, and that was, the investment of time to actually observe students welding as opposed to having them show you their welds, and balancing the theory teaching. I'll just throw this out there that I do both, but being a single instructor in an 18 to 20 seat session program, you can imagine how limited that is. And it's kind of one of those deals where, I'm gonna just put myself out there. I try to 2 times every shop session to make it around, and at minimum watch for a few minutes and or ask them if they had any questions, just to remind them I am there and I would like them to be working.
Yeah.
But I also have a session where they meet with me and they describe and explain using correct terminologies, etc., how they perform their weld, the problems they experienced, and that could be either prior to or during a final weld presentation.
One on each side.
So I guess I'm curious as to, you know, how everybody else balances that. I mean, parents expect us to give them grades.
Yeah. Well, let me
I'm sorry, go
kind of
ahead.
qualify my statements before too, because I don't want to, you know, in that specific article, more than likely, it's more about those teachers that might be sitting on a stool out in the shop, and that's what they do. If I'm in the booth with another student, and another one brings me his weld, then I want to try to get him back to going as much as possible, you know, and that's, you know, I understand that. If that was more towards all of your teaching done from the stool while you're sitting there or from your desk. And obviously, if you're engaged in something else and you've got to get it done, you got to get it done for sure. But the cases that I've heard of when I've gone to a few schools have been more related to, well, my instructor never came to the booth with me. He would just tell me what I was doing wrong. It's kind of like those Facebook welding inspectors. You know, they can tell you everything that was done wrong by looking at your weld. I just had a student bring me one just now that's here practicing. And I could tell him a bunch of things about it, but he would have to pick out all of those things and figure out which one he actually did wrong. Whereas if I just went out there and showed him to in the shop, he'd realize that he wasn't holding the arc short enough when he went side to side pausing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my take on it. So, you know, but I do make a statement every once in a while. Sorry about that. If you do your welding training by telling people what's wrong with their welds, shame on you if that's all you do. But obviously we got to balance our time, but that's just my opinion as a welder and an instructor. Anybody else?
A suggestion?
Yep.
There's a school in Massachusetts that I work with on a pretty regular basis, and they have volunteers that come in, retired, one case a retired welding engineer, another one's a retired welding instructor. The other one is just a welder that's been in the field a long time, works for a supply house, and they let him have time off to go over. And so it's the instructor and at least one and often two additional skilled welders, welding instructors that are out in the shop with the students. So they get tremendous coverage.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to paste the link for the chat box or for the Zoom meeting tomorrow for Weld Ed in there as soon as I find it after it's covered up with all this stuff.
Well, I've got a 2 o'clock. I appreciate everybody's time.
Anybody else got anything to share or talk about? Does anybody have something firmed up for what they're going to do in the fall that's teaching high school? Has anybody been told this is how we're going to handle the fall high school welding? All right. Well, I'm still searching for this chat box with my 50 windows that are up.
Here's a curious question I have, Gerald, is how many of you are, and obviously, Gerald, you are, but how many of you guys are being allowed in your buildings or have just recently been allowed back in your building?
Anybody?
Because we have to schedule our time so that it's documented when we are in our buildings, and students are not allowed at this point and not expected to be until next school year.
Yeah, for us, I mean, we're full-fledged go here at Kurt. It's definitely a different kind of atmosphere, I should say. When we get here, we have to go through some hospital workers. They have to screen us. They got to ask us, you know, have you had a temperature? Have you had, you know, coughing, wheezing, any of that stuff? And they actually take your temperature there as you come in, and you got to wear a face mask in the building. But in my office, I'm in my office now, but I can not wear it in my office. But outside of my office, I have to wear it. So, and we require all the students to wear it too.
All right. Well, if nobody's got anything else.
We're being allowed back into our building. Oh, I think you started talking over. We're being allowed back into ours, but no students yet.
Kevin Grattan, who was on earlier in South Carolina. This is his shop behind me, by the way. He and his cohort have both been back in the building almost through the entire time.
Okay.
No students.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been allowed in the building myself. I live 10 minutes from here, 8 minutes. And I've had to go by and get my temperature checked before I come down, notify the principal. They're trying to keep it down to 10 people or below. But just this week, they've relaxed that quite a bit. And I imagine next week it'll be down quite a bit more. But the College of Applied Technology that teaches here at night, they're full-fledged classes. We've got 11 booths. They've got 9 students here, and they've got to wear face masks and, practice social distancing. Water fountains are shut down, break areas shut down, that kind of stuff. So they can't do any of that. I don't even think the bathrooms are open. Luckily, we have one in the shop, but the ones in the public access areas and the hallways and stuff are actually shut down.
So Gerald, do you share your equipment and shop with Night Instruction?
Just the shop, the PPE stuff like that. They don't use it. They can if they need to. We have it out there, but typically they'll all have part of their tuition is getting the PPE. So they get jackets, hoods, all that kind of stuff. So they're pretty well covered on that kind of stuff. But yeah, we actually split the material with them. They purchase a lot of the new steel. We get a lot of donations, but we share share common equipment. I buy the gas. I don't even know what the details are, to be honest with you fully. I just know whenever I want something, I get it. Whenever they want something, they get it. That's it. Hey, just a quick thing. If that may have been the article that you read, I don't know, on weldingclassroom.com. That's another one of my websites. I wrote that thing, qualifications for being a welding instructor, quite a few years ago. But it may, like I said, I may need to look at rewording, and I didn't need to tell anybody they're a terrible instructor if they don't go in every student's booth. But definitely, we need to be out there in a booth with somebody at some time, for sure.
Well, I thought it was well worded and does not need to be edited at all.
All right. Which I'll step on the toes, it happens, but.
I didn't take it offensive. I mean, I think if any instructor's taking, constructive criticism personally, then they need another job.
Yeah. I would imagine that the ones that are taking time to be here are not the ones that teach like I described in that article, is my guess.
Or the choir.
Yeah. All right. Well, all right. Well, that, like I said, next week's meeting, I think we're gonna start doing towards some other stuff, unless somebody comes up with something they'd like to see. We'll do that. But other than that, I'm gonna plan on just kind of talking about welder performance qualification. I'll start out with a presentation. What's a certified welder? And you'll have to listen to me about that. But we'll have some questions and answers. And that actually, the materials will also probably require you to do some online stuff if you want to fully participate. I'll have a Moodle site set up with some materials to go through and some exercises to do and that kind of stuff. So it won't be just me talking. We'll meet next week. I'll talk. Here's the assignments. Here's how you do the stuff. If you want to do it, you can. If you don't, that's fine.
Do you want me to? Would you like me to have the guy contact you from Tulsa, or do you want me?
No, do that. I mean,
okay.
That's, if nothing else, we can fit that in somewhere else, or skip a week. But yeah, if he contacts me first, I'd like to possibly do that, unless somebody that's been a participant has something else we'd like to keep on talking about. Again, I think we've covered a lot of the stuff that's related to getting through this COVID-19 thing. Now it's just going to kind of start focusing on regular stuff that might be of interest to welding instructors. And I may send out a survey, see how many folks are interested. I've got 100 and something email addresses, and if only 2 people are interested in learning the certified welder stuff, then it may not be worth doing it. But that was actually on one of the questionnaires that I've repeatedly sent out, and most everybody seemed to say, yeah, I'd like to learn something about welder qualification. So that's what I'm.
Well, I'm like you, Gerald. I think regardless of what I think I know, I like to hear what other people's perspective and the methods they use and And I think if you have the time and you turn down those opportunities, I mean, you're not trying to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Calvin, you talking about Tulsa Weld School?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I could also hook you up with somebody from the Missouri Weld Institute.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good one too.
Yeah.
I'll try to make that contact.
Yeah, I run into a couple guys out in Missouri because I get to kind of, like I said, I get to the eastern side, St. Louis down to Sykeston up to Hannibal, but I really haven't got into the Kansas City side and over in Nevada, around there. But I know a lot of them, push to MWI, which it's neither here nor there. I'm not in any competition. They can come to Hobart if they want to. They can go to any school that they want to. I'm just here to give them information about Hobart. If they want to come, they come. If they don't, they don't. But and like I said, there's other stuff. If they don't come to school and 5 years down the road, they get enough experience to come get their CWI. Maybe I'll see them here for CWI. And they say, "Oh yeah, I saw you in Kurt Cole, Claybone class." Well,
we've got one opened up on the east side of Kansas City on 70 Highway.
I heard about that one
about 3 years ago, and then another gentleman just opened up this year, the American Welding Institute.
Academy or something.
Yeah, Academy. That's it.
Yeah, I've heard about that one too.
I just try to make sure that my students have as many opportunities and understand the comparisons of them and make their own decision.
And the thing about it is, and I hate to say this, but a lot of them hire in people that are like used car salesmen sometimes. You probably see it, they come out and they give them the whole, under the, you're going to be the best welder, da-da-da-da-da, like, and some of them don't even know how to weld. And that's the nice thing. They put me through the whole program here at the school, and I know how to weld. So, you get guys come in there and, some of your kids are like, "Oh, you know how to, use a 60-10 rod?" And they're like, "No, I don't. I've never used that." Like, well, then you lost interest to all the students.
Happy.
So you got to know what you're selling first too.
Well, Missouri Weld Institute requires you to be a graduate to work for them. So I don't know about the academy or the other one on the other side on the east side of town. But like I said, I just try to make sure they get to hear from as many as they can. And I think maybe a way I can increase that and reduce the cost is kind of do these Zoom meetings.
Yeah. And I also tell them, I say, go at least tour, 2 schools or maybe 3 schools. I mean, because if you just go to one, that might not be the one you want. If it's not us, maybe it's Missouri Welding Institute or maybe it's Tulsa. Go check out multiple ones so you can see what, best suits you.
Yeah. Yeah, one of the things that, someone actually posted something on the AWS forum today asking about the best place to go for CWI training, for instance. And it's really hard to get a true opinion from anybody because they'll give you one thinking it's the truth, but here's the deal. They went to school A first and they didn't pass their exam. We don't know why, they just didn't pass it. Then they go to school B, take it, and they do pass the exam, so they think school B is better. But they entered school B with an advanced training background already. So you don't really know. There's very few people that may even go to both of them. So it's difficult to say, well, this was the best school ever because you entered that school with some previous knowledge that you didn't have when you went to the first school or experience. So it's hard to say one is, that's why the statistics for job placement and that kind of stuff, I think are good for, for schools to have published. But even then, if you look at job placement and how much money they're making, so if you're placing 85% of your students and they're making $15 an hour, did you really do a good job in placement?
Yeah, our average is like 19. I just ran it last week. It was 19.45 or something like that per hour the students making. And so, and I agree with you there with the CWI, it's really how much time and effort you put into it, because you can't just come to the class and then go back to your hotel and sit there and eat food and not do anything. You got to go back and study for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Yeah, it's definitely like I said, I've wrestled with the thoughts about how to teach one. That's why, interested in the curriculum, just because getting the information out there to students, there's so many different levels of experience when they come in as a potential CWI. 5 years of experience pulling a trigger with a big gun at the dryer, at the washing machine factory meets the requirements for the CWI preliminary.
Oh, and I think on the website they might have some training material for the CWI, Gerald. If you go on to the welding.org and then you go to the tech portion of our website, there might be some training material that I think is on there. If I am correct, I can't remember for sure, but there might be.
I'll look around.
Okay.
Well, the one piece of advice about getting your CWI that I fully endorse and am behind is never go to a class and plan on taking the test that week, that time, if you don't have a pretty good rounded experience background. Like you're saying, a focused and specialized background does not mean you should be taking your CWI without a lot of studying.
Yeah, I did. I wrote an article about what I studied, but I got to sit through a class last year or year before last that AWS put on, one of their 50-hour classes that started on Sunday. And, I took mine without a class, my CWI exam, and I passed it. But I'd been inspecting for a couple of years. I got to watch those folks in there thinking if they had 20 years of welding experience and they were one of the greatest pipe welders ever, that's great. But that's a lot of information to cram into a human brain in a 6-day period. That's why I like the idea of the 80-hour class much better. In the class I taught, I did it in 100 hours. And, I taught them more, or tried to teach them more about how to be an inspector than it was how to pass the test. But there's a lot of information on there. And that level of interest in the student, just like it is with welding, I think it has a big influence on what they do.
Well, we can all volunteer to proctor and assist our local sections when we sponsor testing in our areas as well.
I've thought about trying to get one. I'm a section chairman here, and thought about trying to get one. Get a test up here in the area, but ain't got around to it quite yet, just because of the. I'm trying to teach the courses, so it's kind of a conflict. All right. Well, anybody got any other questions or statements or something like that? And if not, we'll close this baby down. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all coming to hang out with me and talk welding. And I'll send a link out with the video here in a day or so if I get around to it. I've got a student to play with out in the shop now, so who knows? I might throw all this stuff out the window now.
Hey, Gerald.
Yeah.
I just like to thank you for your effort that you're doing here. It's tremendous, and you're doing an awesome job.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I'm having a big time.
And I enjoy every meeting I can make.
Cool. Well, I'm glad you was able to show up and spend some time with. Like I said, that goes for all of you. Don't hesitate to speak up during these meetings. If you got something you want to add or say or argue about, even, let's do it. Every time I get told I'm wrong and get proven it, I get to learn something. So it's cool for me.
Sure.
And
thanks, Gerald.
Yeah, y'all have a good one. I really appreciate you coming to do this. I enjoy it. It's one of the things I look forward to during the week, and I think going forward, even once everything gets back to so-called normal, it's still going to be something I look forward to. It may be shifting them to a different time period though. Once I have to have a real job, but still going to try to do them. Y'all have a good one, man. Take care.
See you later.
Good day. Good weekend.
You too.